When I found out I was pregnant, I was 14 years old, and my boyfriend was 16. And we had broken up. So I knew that I was late for my period, but I was hoping that I wasn't pregnant. And I remember just crying, feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm 14 years old. I'm still in school. I don't want to tell my parents. I don't want to tell the father of the baby. We're not even together. And all kind of thoughts were running through my head. I just did not want to be pregnant. I knew in my heart that it was wrong. I didn't want to do it, but I felt I had to. I felt like I had no other choice but to have the abortion. So I just sucked it up and went in, and had to wait. And they called me again to go to another room to talk to a counselor. But all she did was just say, you're doing the right thing. She just assured me I was doing the right thing. And then I had to go back and wait. Then they called me into the abortion room. And I remember it was a doctor, a man doctor, and a woman nurse. And they said, you're going to feel a little cramping. Try not to move. And from what I remember, like they numbed me inside the inside. And then they started scraping, and I could feel and hear everything. Of course, I was awake, so it hurt a lot. I felt the scraping, and then they turned the suction machine on, and I felt the pull, the suctioning of the machine, and I was crying. And the doctor told the nurse to tell me to quit crying. And she came and said, "You're woman enough to have sex. You're woman enough to go through with this. You need to stop crying." So that was the beginning of not wanting to cry for years. That's pretty much that starting point, of, okay, this is my decision. I chose to have sex. I chose to have an abortion, and now I need to deal with it. And at such a young age, that's a lot to deal with. During the abortion, I already started feeling really sad, just overwhelmingly sad, knowing that I knew that it was my baby. I knew when I was pregnant, I knew it was a baby. I wasn't that naive, so I knew that was my baby. I didn't want to think about it. I wanted to just suppress it. And so with all of those feelings that I had, I didn't know what else to do. So I started drinking, experimenting with different drugs to kind of just numb the pain. I just didn't want to. My real life was too painful, so I could escape through drinking and doing drugs, and escape my reality by doing those things temporarily, and it would get me through. And I did not feel worthy as a person. Many years later, I found out about a pregnancy center and clinic. I didn't even know that they existed. So I was listening to the radio, and I heard about a pregnancy center. And I thought, I probably wonder what they do there. So I called them, and I asked them if I could go and have a visit and see what they were about. And I did. And when I was talking to the director, she was sharing with me that the services that they offer, and one of them was healing after abortion. And at that point, I realized I had never... I didn't know there was such a thing as healing from abortion. So I asked her more about it, and I attended a group over there at the pregnancy center. We dealt with the anger, the forgiveness, depression, self-destruction. A lot of girls and women cut themselves and do self-destructive things to numb their pain, or they feel like they deserve to hurt themselves because they hurt their babies. And then we went through about 9 weeks, and then we had a memorial service for our unborn babies. When I was faced with the difficult choice of whether to parent, adopt, or go for an abortion, I didn't know what an abortion was. There's now the woman's right to know, so they can have information to know that there are physical risks, there's consequences to having an abortion. So we give them the information. They can watch a video about a doctor explaining an abortion, which is non-graphic, just explaining the procedure. Because if I go to have my tooth pulled or have a root canal, I want to know what the doctor's going to do. And so to me, it's no different than an abortion. If it's a procedure, a medical procedure, then you should want to know what they're going to do. Always find out all the information that you can to know that you're making the best decision, the best choice that's for you, because you're the one who's going to have to live with the consequences of the choice that you make with this unplanned pregnancy.